Welcome to my channel. I hope you like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this little cardigan sweater, coat, or jacket for baby boys and girls between 6 and 9 months old. I made it with a beautiful stitch pattern that's very easy to make. I hope you like it. Now, the little sweater, like I said, it's for 6 to 9 months, but you can easily make it smaller or bigger from a newborn size and up to 5 to 7 years. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you some information on how you can easily make it smaller or bigger, so be sure to check that out. And as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop up here on the right hand side and in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support. Now, as far as yarn, I used DK weight yarn, but you can also use any number 3 yarn or 8 ply. For the 6 to 9 month size, I used a total of 182 grams, and I also used 5 10mm size buttons. Depending on the size that you make, you may need less or more yarn. Okay, let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe, activate the notifications bell, and remember, all of my tutorials are always in English and in Spanish. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, to begin, I'll be using this 3.5mm crochet hook, and today I'm using this DK weight yarn. I'm going to use in the color blue to make the yoke, and then the rest of the sweater I'm going to use white as well. And this is the brand of yarn that I'm using. This is a DK weight yarn. You can also use any number 3 yarn or 8 ply. Now here to begin, I have 49 chains. This chain here is measuring without stretching or anything. It's measuring about 25 centimeters, which is about 9.75 inches. Now, if you're off by 1 or 2 centimeters, it's okay. Continue with the first row. So here, to begin the first row, on the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, into this 4th chain here, make a double crochet. Now, these 3 chains here at the beginning counts as 1 double crochet. In total, I'm going to make 7. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets. We have the chain, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets. Now into the next chain, we're going to make 3 double crochets. This is going to be one of the corners. So make 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. Now, before we continue, put a stitch marker into the second double crochet of these 3 that we just made. Now, this here is going to be one of the front panels. We have the first corner. Now, for the shoulder, we need to make 7 double crochets as well. So into the next chain, make a double crochet. That's 1. 7 double crochets. Now into the next chain, make your second corner, so make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Before we continue, put a stitch marker into the second double crochet. Now for the back side, I need to make a total of 15 double crochet. So into the next 15 chains, make 1 double crochet. Continue until we have these 15 double crochets for the back side, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making these 15 double crochets for the back side. Now into the next chain, make 3 double crochets. This is going to be the 3rd corner. And before you continue, put a stitch marker into the second double crochet, which is the middle double crochet. Now we're going to make a total of 7 double crochets. which is going to be for the second shoulder. That's 1, 7 double crochets, and into the next chain here make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now into this second double crochet out of these 3, put a stitch marker, and now we're going to finish here with these last 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Continue, finish this first row, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making these last 7 double crochets here. Now this is what we've done. Let's see, in this first row we did 6 double crochets here plus the 3 chains here at the beginning. I have 7 double crochets. Then we did 3 double crochets, then we did 7 double crochets, 3 double crochets, 15 double crochets, 3 double crochets, 7 double crochets, 3 double crochets, and then 7 double crochets. Now make sure that you have a stitch marker just like I showed you here on each one of the corners into the second double crochet. It's very important that you do this, otherwise you're going to be lost going forward. So here, for the second row, chain 1 and turn. Beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a single crochet. Make sure to go through both loops. Now into each one of these double crochets until we come to the stitch marker, we're going to make single crochets, but we're going to go through the back loop only. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and here's the stitch marker. Remove the stitch marker, and into this stitch here make 3 single crochets. You can go through both loops here. So that's 2 and 3. And before you continue, make sure to put back your stitch marker into the second single crochet, which is the center single crochet out of these 3. Now we're going to continue along the shoulder and through the back loop make these single crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now remove this next stitch marker here, and into this next stitch make 3 single crochets. This is how we're going to increase for every row in these corners. Now make sure to put back your stitch marker into the second single crochet, and then continue along for the back side and work these single crochets through the back loop until you come to the stitch marker here. Into this stitch marker and this stitch marker, you're going to make 3 single crochets and then finish this second row in the same way. Back loop single crochets, and then 3 single crochets here, and then back loop single crochets. Continue, finish this second row, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of this second row. Now here at the end, into the third chain here at the end, make your last single crochet. And this is how I finished this second row with a total of 63 single crochets. From here on, we are always going to increase by 8 stitches. We have 4 corners. Our increases are done on the corners. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8 extra stitches at the end of every row. Now for the third row, we're going to chain 2 and turn. These 2 chains never count as a stitch. They're just there so that when we finish the yoke, there's a nice straight line here along the side. Now, in this row, I'm going to repeat the row of double crochets. So beginning on top of the first single crochet through both loops, make a double crochet. Now into the next single crochets through the back loop only, make a double crochet until you come to the stitch marker or the first corner. So here I have 1, 2, 3 double crochets, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochets. Remove your stitch marker, and into this stitch here make 3 double crochets, and here you can go through both loops of this stitch. Now before you continue, don't forget to put back your stitch marker to mark the center stitch here, which is the second double crochet out of these 3. Now continue here and make 1 double crochet through the back loop until you come to the second corner. So that's 2, 11. Here's the stitch with the stitch marker. Remove that stitch marker, and into this center stitch here make 3 double crochets. Now before you continue, return your stitch marker and mark the second double crochet out of these 3 here. And now you're going to continue along and work these double crochets. When you come here to these corners, you're going to do the same thing, 3 double crochets, and make sure you put back your stitch marker, and then continue and work these double crochets through the back loop until you come to the last single crochet. I will meet you at the end of this third row to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of this third row. At the end of this third row, I have a total of 71 double crochets. Now, from here on, we're going to repeat these 2 rows. This row of double crochets and the row of single crochets. So for the 4th row, I need to repeat the row of single crochets. So to do this row, you're going to chain 1 and turn. Now, beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a single crochet. And here at the beginning, you can go through both loops. I think it's best to go through both loops here at the beginning, because once we do the edge here, we don't want to pull too much on those stitches. So make sure that you go through both loops. Now for these remaining double crochets here, we're going to make single crochets, but we're going to go through the back loop. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 single crochets. Remove your stitch marker, and into this stitch here make 3 single crochets. That's 1, 2, 3. Make sure you return your stitch marker and mark the center stitch here, so the second single crochet. And now you're just going to continue along until you come to the next stitch marker. So into the back loop of the next double crochet, make a single crochet. That's 2, 13 single crochets. Remove your stitch marker, and again here make 3 single crochets. And this is all we're going to do for this row. Now you're going to continue along. Don't forget to put your stitch marker back into the second single crochet here in the center. So continue. At the end of this row, you're going to have a total of 79 single crochets. Remember that at the end of every row we increase by 8 stitches, and you're just going to continue from here on and repeat the 2 rows. Now I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to have, but continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to have, but in the meantime I'm going to give you the stitch count up to row 8 of how many stitches you're going to have at the end of every row from here on up to row 8. If it's more or less that I do here for the yoke, just continue watching. I think I'm going to do at least 8 rows here. So for the 4th row, like I said, you're going to have a total of 79 single crochets. At the end of the 5th row, 87 double crochets. At the end of the 6th row, 95 single crochets. At the end of the 7th row, 103 double crochets. And at the end of the 8th row, 111 single crochets. Okay, so continue. Let's finish the yoke. And all you're doing is just repeating these 2 rows. I finished making the yoke. I did a total of 13 rows. I had mentioned to do 8, but no, do 13 rows. 8 rows was too small, so I decided to add a couple more rows. So now I do have the measurement that I need for the size that I'm making this for. Now I'm going to tell you how many stitches you need to have after row 8. So at the end of the 8th row, I said you should have 111 single crochets. Now for row 9, you need to have 119 double crochets. For row 10, 127 single crochets. For row 11, 135 double crochets. For row 12, 143 single crochets, and at the end of the 13th row, 151 double crochets, which is what I have for mine. Now, the yoke is measuring about 11 centimeters, which is almost 4.5 inches. So now what we're going to do next is we're going to divide for the sleeves. And before I do that, let me tell you how many stitches I have for each one of the sections. Now, I'm going to give you the number of stitches between the stitch markers. I'm not counting the corner stitches. There's 4 corner stitches. So for the front panels, you should have 20. So from here, not counting the corner stitch, up to here, there's 20. Same thing for this front panel, 20 and 20. For the sleeves, same thing. The stitches in between the stitch markers, I have 33 and 33. And for the back side, I have 41. So if you add 20 plus 33 plus 41 plus 33 plus 20 plus 4, that's a total of 151 double crochets at the end of this 13th row. Now, at the end of the 13th row, I cut my yarn. I'm going to change color here. So what I'm going to do is the last row that I did, row 13, I worked on the right side. This here is the right side. This here is the wrong side. So we're going to go here on the wrong side, and on top of the last double crochet that I did, insert your hook, grab a loop. I'm going to use this white yarn here. Now, chain 1 into the same stitch here, make a single crochet and go through both loops. Now we're going to continue with the pattern here, so I'm going to work these 20 single crochets. I already have one through the back loop of the next stitch. Make a single crochet. That's 2, 3, 20. I have 20 single crochets here. Now I have this stitch here that's marking the center stitch. So what I'm going to do into this stitch here is I'm going to make 2 single crochets, and I'm going to go through both loops of this stitch here. Now you should have a total of 22 single crochets for this front panel. We had 20, we just did 2, so that's 22 single crochets. Now to divide the sleeve, chain 5. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to skip 33 double crochets. So we're going to count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 33. And into the 34th stitch, which is where I have my stitch marker for this corner, I am going to make 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. So now we have divided the first sleeve. If you want to add more chains here under the sleeve, you can. The important thing is that when we finish this first row, I need this to be in multiples of 3. Whatever number you have, make sure that it's in multiples of 3. So here we're going to continue now for the back side, and starting into the next stitch here through the back loop, I'm going to make single crochets. I'm going to do this until I come to the next stitch marker. So continue. I'll meet you here to show you how we're going to separate the second sleeve. I finished making these single crochets for the back side. Now into this last stitch where I have the stitch marker, I'm going to make 2 single crochets. Now for the back side, including these 2 single crochets that I did here and the 2 that we did here, you should have a total of 45 single crochets for the back side. Now to divide the second sleeve, chain 5. That's 3, 4, 5. Now skip 33 double crochets, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 33. Now into the next stitch where I have the stitch marker, make 2 single crochets. And here is the second sleeve. Now continue along for this front panel, just making single crochets through the back loop like this. Here for this front panel, you should be left with 22 single crochets. Continue, finish this row, I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of this first row. This is where we have divided the sleeve. I have completed this row now. At the end of this row, you should have a total of 89 single crochets plus 5 chains under each sleeve. Each one of the front panels, we have 22 and 22. And for the back side, we have 45 single crochets. So that's a total of 89 single crochets plus 5 chains under each sleeve. So now what we're going to do next is for the second row, I'm going to change hook size. I'm going to use this slightly bigger hook size, which is a 4mm hook. If you're making this sweater using any other hook size, just go up half a hook size. So to begin here, the second row, we're going to start our pattern. So this is the stitch that I'm going to use. This is the poppy stitch in my channel. I'll leave the link up here and in the information box. If you want to make a matching baby blanket, you can watch that tutorial. It's very pretty and very easy to do. It's just a 1 row repeat. So let's get started here. We're going to chain 3 and turn. Now we're going to skip 1, 2, and into the third single crochet, counting from the beginning. Yarn over, insert your hook, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 3 loops, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 4 loops on the hook, close, chain 2, single crochet. Now we're going to be making these little clusters. So now again, skip 1, 2, and into the third, repeat, yarn over, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 4 loops on the hook, close, chain 2, single crochet into the same stitch. Again, skip 1, 2, and into the third, grab a loop, take 2 loops, yarn over, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 4 loops, close, chain 2, single crochet. This is how I'm going to continue until I come to the chains under this sleeve. Again, skip 2 and into the third, make your cluster. Now for the front panel here, you should have, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7 clusters. Now we have the 5 chains here under the sleeve, and I still have 1 last single crochet for the front panel. I'm going to skip this single crochet, skip the first chain, and into the second chain here, I'm going to work this cluster stitch. Four loops, close, chain 2, single crochet. Skip the 3rd, 4th, and into the 5th chain here. Work your poppy stitch or your cluster stitch, however you want to call it. Four loops on the hook, close, chain 2, go back in and make a single crochet. Now I have the first single crochet for the back side, skip the 1st and the 2nd and into the 3rd, make this stitch. Oops, that's 4 loops, close, chain 2, single crochet, and then skip again 2 and into the 3rd, repeat your stitch. 4 loops, close, chain 2, single crochet. And that's all I'm going to do. Now continue until you come to the next 5 chains. Here you're just going to continue and count the stitches as if they were single crochets. Skip 2 and into the 3rd, make your cluster stitch. I'll meet you at the end of this 2nd row to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of this 2nd row. Now up to here, this is my last cluster. I have a total of 32. To finish this row, skip 2 and into the 3rd, which is the last single crochet. Here make a double crochet. And this is how I finish the 2nd row with 32 of these cluster stitches, or 32 poppy stitch. Now for the 3rd row, chain 3 and turn. Now we have the first stitch here. Right next to it we have the chain 2 space. Into this chain 2 space, yarn over, insert your hook, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 4 loops on the hook, close, chain 2, and into the same chain 2 space, make a single crochet. Again, we have the 2nd stitch, we have the chain 2 space, insert your hook, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 4 loops, close, chain 2, single crochet. One more time. Into the chain 2 space of the next stitch, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 4 loops, close, chain 2, single crochet. And this is all we're going to do for the rest of this 3rd row. Continue, I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of this 3rd row. Now to finish this row, you're just going to go here where we have the 3 chains, and into the 2nd chain here, make a double crochet. And this is how I finish the 3rd row. From here on, this is the row that you're going to repeat. This is a 1 row repeat pattern, so you're just going to repeat this row over and over for the rest of the sweater here. So to start you off on the 4th row, chain 3 and turn. Beginning into this first stitch here, right next to it we have the chain 2 space, yarn over, insert your hook, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 4 loops on the hook, close, chain 2, single crochet. Now repeat the same thing into each one of the chain 2 spaces here. Take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 4 loops, close, chain 2, single crochet. That's all we're going to do. So continue. I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do here for the body of the little sweater, but if you continue watching, I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do. So continue, I'll meet you at the end of that row. Okay, I finished making the body here of the little sweater. I have done a total of 17 rows. I did 17 of these pattern rows plus the row of single crochets that we did at the beginning. So that's a total of 18 rows. Now it's measuring from the neckline here to the end of the last row. It's measuring about 29 centimeters, which is about 11.5 inches. Now what we're going going to do next is we're going to work the bottom of the sweater here. My last row here was worked on the right side. This next row is going to be worked on the inside. So chain 1, turn. Now beginning on top of this last double crochet that I did in the previous row, make a half double crochet. Now beginning into the first chain 2 space of this first stitch here, make 2 half double crochets. In the middle of these two, make a half double crochet. Again, into the chain 2 space of the next stitch, make 2 half double crochets. In the middle of the 2 stitches, make a half double crochet. 2 half double crochets into the chain 2 space, and in between the stitches, a half double crochet. This is how I'm going to continue for this first row. Continue, I'll meet you at the end. I finished making these half double crochets along the bottom. Now for this first row, I have a total of 97 half double crochets. Now here I'm going to cut my yarn, so just pass your yarn through that last loop and pull it through. I'm going to use this light blue color here. So this row here I worked from the wrong side. This next row here we're going to work on the right side. So turn this over and insert your hook on top of the last half double crochet that I did. Bring this through, chain 1, and then into the same stitch here make a half double crochet. Now into the next one here, work a front post half double crochet, into the next back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet, back post half double crochet, and so on. Just front post and back post half double crochets all the way to the end. I'll meet you at the end of this second row. I'm here at the end of this second row. This is where I did front post and back post half double crochets. To finish, go on top of the first half double crochet and make a half double crochet. And this is how I finished the second row with a total of 97 half double crochets. Now for rows 3 and 4, we're going to repeat the same thing. Chain 1, turn, beginning on top of the first half double crochet, make a half double crochet. Now for this row, we're going to work these stitches in the same way. We have a back post half double crochet, so make a back post half double crochet. Next one, front post half double crochet. Next one, back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet, and so on. This is all we're going to do. We're just going to alternate between front post and back post half double crochets, and we're going to do this for a total of 3 rows. I think I'm only going to do 3. Continue watching. I'll let you know how many rows I'm going to do, but you're just going to do the exact same thing here. You're just going to make front post and back post half double crochets. I'm here at the end of this 5th row. Now here at the end, just go into the last stitch and make a half double crochet. And this is how I finish this part here. It's all done. Now in total, I did 4 rows of front post and back post half double crochets, plus the row of half double crochets that we did here in white. That's 5 rows here for the bottom part. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to work here on this panel. I don't want to cut my yarn, so I'm just going to continue along this. Let's see, this is going to be the right front panel, and we're going to work this row from the wrong side out. So let's start here. I'm going to chain 1 here at the end, and now into this last row here, work a half double crochet. Into the next row here at the end, a half double crochet. Into the next row, half double crochet. Into the next, a half double crochet. So here I have 4 half double crochets. Now I have the row that we did here of half double crochets in white, make a half double crochet there. Now we have here the rows here of the pattern. So we have the 3 chains here at the end, and we have a double crochet. Into the chain 3 space here, make 2 half double crochets. Into the row where we have the double crochet at the end, make 1. So you're going to make 2, then 1, 2, then 1. And this is how I'm going to work this part here. And now here's the row of single crochets that we did to divide the sleeve, so make 1 into that row. Now here for the yoke, we're going to work 1 half double crochet at the end of each row. So we have the row of double crochets and we have the row of single crochets. So make 1 here at the end into each row. Okay, here's the last row. Now I'm going to go into the row of chains here and make my last one. So here, let's see, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32. So I have 32 half double crochets for this part here. Now we have 2, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46. So we have 46 half double crochets for this part. Now, if you're off by 1 or 2 stitches, it's okay. The important thing here is that you don't make too many. Otherwise, this here is going to be longer than the little sweater. So now to continue, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Here we're going to do the same thing we did here at the bottom. We're going to do it here for this front panel. The only thing is that I think I'm only going to do 3 rows here. So 2 rows of front post and back post half double crochet. So here for this row, I'm going to make a half double crochet on top of the first half double crochet. And then into the next, I'm going to work a front post half double crochet, into the next back post half double crochet, into the next front post half double crochet, into the next back post half double crochet, and so on. Now this is how I'm going to continue, just alternating between front post and back post half double crochets until I come here to the end. On top of the last, make a half double crochet, chain 1, turn, and then work your way up, doing the same thing, front post and back post half double crochets. I will meet you at the end of that 3rd row to show you what we need to do next. To finish making this first front panel, I did a total of 3 rows. I'm here at the end of the 3rd row. Here at the end, on top of the last stitch, I made a half double crochet. Now we're going to continue along the neckline. So to do this, chain 1. Now here at the end, make a single crochet. At the end of the next row, a single crochet, and at the end of the 3rd, a single crochet. So I have 3 single crochets. Now we have the double crochets here for the neckline. Into the first double crochet right here, work a front post half double crochet. Into the next back post half double crochet, into the next front post half double crochet, back post half double crochet, and so on. Here I'm going to show you what you need to do when you get to the corners where we have 3 double crochets. So here are the first 3. Just do the same thing. Continue with a front post and a back post half double crochet, just like this. And that's all we're going to do. So continue all around the neckline. I'll meet you here at this other end. Okay, I'm almost done with the neckline. Now here's my last front post half double crochet. Here at the end is the last stitch. Just go on top and make a single crochet. And here is the neckline. It's all done. Now for the neckline, I have a total of 53 half double crochets plus this single crochet that I did here at the end and the 3 single crochets that I have here at the beginning. Now we're going to make this front panel here, and we're going to do exactly the same thing we did when we did this first one here. For me, I had a total of 46 half double crochets for this first row, so I'm going to make sure that I have 46 half double crochets here. So to begin here, chain 1. Here is the last single crochet that I did. Insert your hook into that space and make a half double crochet there. Now we have the row of double crochets. Make 1 half double crochet there. Then we have the row of single crochets. Make 1 half double crochet. We have the row of double crochets again here at the end. Make 1, and then the row of single crochets, make 1, and so on. For this part, we only did 1 half double crochet for each one of the rows. So that's all I'm going to do. So continue for this part. Once you're done here with this part, you're going to here into the double crochet space we did 1, and into the chain 3 space we did 2. So 1 2 1 2 all the way here to the bottom. So continue like this. I'll meet you here at the end of this first row to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of this first row. For the second front panel, I have a total of 46 half double crochets. Now for the second row, chain 1 and turn. Here we're going to work front post and back post half double crochet. Beginning on top of the first, make a half double crochet. Now into the next one, work a front post half double crochet, into the next back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet, and so on. This part here is the same as the first front panel. You're going to finish this row. At the end, you're going to have 46 stitches, chain 1, turn, and then work the third row in the exact same way. Continue, finish this second front panel. I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making the second front panel. Here at the end, I just finished by making a half double crochet on top of the last one. I cut my yarn and passed my yarn through that last loop, and this part here is done. I already hid my ends here on the inside. So the front panels are all done. This is how it looks. Now, if you notice, I did not add any buttonholes here to the front panels. The spaces in between the rows of half double crochets that we did are big enough for buttons to fit through. You can use 9, 10, or even 11 millimeter size buttons. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to make the sleeves. I already went ahead and did this side. Now, you're going to do exactly the same thing when you do this side. It's done exactly in the same way, and it's easy. So let's go here under the sleeve facing me. This is the right side. So we're going to go right under the sleeve. Now here we have 5 chains. These are the 5 chains that we added when we were separating the sleeves. I'm going to use this 3.5 millimeter hook, which is the original hook size that I used to make the yoke. So if you're using any other hook size, just go back to your original hook size, the one that you used to make the yoke. So here to begin, we're going to find the middle chain here. We have 5, so into the third chain, for me it's this one here, I'm going to insert my hook, but we're going to work this row from the wrong side out because we're going to continue with the pattern here. So the row of double crochets was done on the right side, so the row of single crochets is going to be worked on the wrong side. So find that third chain. For me it's right here, so it's in the center, and I am going to continue with this blue yarn. I'm going to grab a loop, bring it through, and chain 1. Now into this same stitch space here, I'm going to make my first single crochet. Here what I'm going to do is for this part here where I have the 5 chains, I'm going to add a total of 6 single crochets. There is no right or wrong way of doing this. The important thing is that you end with 6 single crochets here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make 3 on this side and then 3 at the end. So let's do the second one. The second one, I'm going to go into the next chain. So right here where we have this stitch pattern, and I'm going to make my second single crochet. Now my third single crochet, I'm going to go into the stitch where I have the stitch marker right there, and that's the third single crochet. Now we have the first double crochet out of the 33 that we left for the sleeve. Into the first double crochet here, through the back loop, make a single crochet, and into each one of these double crochets you're going to make a single crochet, but make sure you go through the back loop. We're going to continue with the pattern here, and this is all I'm going to do here all around. I will meet you here at the end of this first row to the first sleeve to show you how we're going to finish it. I'm here at the end of this first row for the sleeve. Now here at the end up to here, this is the last double crochet. I have a total of 36 single crochets, including these 3 here that I did at the beginning. Now I need to finish with 39, so I need to make 3 more. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into this single crochet row, which is the row where we divided for the sleeves, and make a single crochet into the next stitch here or into the space. That would be up to you. I'm going to go into the stitch here, and I'm going to make my second single crochet, then my last single crochet into this last stitch pattern there, make a single crochet. So here are my last 3. To finish, go on top of the first single crochet through both loops and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished the first row with 39 single crochets. Now for the second row, we're going to chain 2 and turn. Here, whenever you have to do the row of double crochets, you chain 2 and turn. When you have to do the row of single crochets, you chain 1 and turn. So here we need to do the row of double crochets, so we're going to start into the next single crochet. The next single crochet is right here, not this one here, this one here. If you go into this first one, which is the stitch where we joined, you are going to be adding an extra stitch. So don't go into the one where we join. Do not go there. Go into the next one right here. So this is where you're going to make your first double crochet, and always through the back loop like this. And that's how it looks. Now into the next, through the back loop, make a double crochet into the next, and so on. This is how you're going to work the second row, just double crochets all around. I will meet you here at the end of this second row to show you how you're going to finish this row, and then how to start the row of single crochets again. And at the end of each row, we're always going to have 39 stitches. I'll meet you at the end of the second row. I'm here at the end of this second row. This is where I did double crochets. Now to finish here at the end, we have the last stitch here. So into this last stitch, make a double crochet. So now at the end of this row, I have 39 double crochets. Now to finish the row, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch right here. Make sure you go through both loops. And here is the second row. From here on, these are the 2 rows that you're going to repeat, the row of double crochets and the row of single crochets, and you always go through the back loop, and you always turn for each row. So to start you off on the third row, chain 1 and turn. Here we're going to make single crochets. So into the next single crochet, this one here, right there, insert your hook and make a single crochet into the next, and so on. Make sure you go through the back loop so that you can keep the same pattern. That's all we're going to do. Now to finish this row, you're just going to go here on top of the first single crochet, join with a slip stitch, chain 2, turn, and then repeat the same thing we did in the second row. And that's how we're going to continue for the rest of the sleeve with 39 stitches. Now if you want to add more stitches here so that this part here is wider, you can. That would be up to you. Now here I did a total of 25 rows. My last row here is the row of single crochets. So continue, finish these 25 rows, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the cuff. I finished making these 25 rows. So from here where we did the row of single crochets, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25 rows. My last row here is the row of single crochets. Now, what we're going to do next here is the cuff. For the cuff, I did a total, let's see, of 4 rows. I did 1 row of half double crochets and then 3 rows of front post and back post half double crochets. So to do this, we're going to go here. Here at the end, I joined to the beginning, cut my yarn, passed my yarn through that last loop. So this next row, we're going to work on the right side. The last row, I worked from the wrong side. So we're going to go here on top of the last single crochet that I did before I joined, grab a loop there, chain 1, and into the same stitch here, the first one, make a half double crochet. Now into the next, through the back loop, make a half double crochet, and on each one of these single crochets, make a half double crochet. Make sure to go into the back loop also. So continue all around. I'll meet you at the end of this row. I'm here at the end of this first row here of half double crochets. I have 39 half double crochets. To finish, just go on top of the first half double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for rows 2, 3, and 4, we're going to work front post and back post half double crochet. So chain 1, beginning into this first stitch here, work a front post half double crochet, into the next back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, back post half double crochet into the next, and so on. You're just going to continue like this all around, alternating between a front post and a back post half double crochet. To finish this row, you're just going to go on top of the first stitch, join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then do the same thing for rows 3 and 4, front post and back post half double crochets. Continue. Let's finish this part. This is how it should look. 3 rows of front post and back post half double crochets. I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making the cuff. Here at the end, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through that last loop, and the sleeve is all done. And this is how it looks. Now you're going to do exactly the same thing that I did here. You're going to do it here on this side. It's done exactly in the same way. This little cardigan here is all done. Look how beautiful this looks. Stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and make the exact same sweater, but I'm going to go ahead and add a hood. So stay tuned for that. So now let me give you the finished measurements. Oh, before we do that, I went ahead and attached my buttons. These buttons here are 10mm size buttons. Now, if you notice, I did not add any buttonholes here to the front panels. The spaces in between the rows of half double crochets that we did are big enough for buttons to fit through. You can use 9, 10, or even 11mm size buttons. I used 5 buttons. So let me give you the finished measurements. From the top of the neckline to the end of the sleeve, it's measuring about 32 centimeters, which is about 12.5 inches. From under the sleeve to the end of the sleeve, it's measuring about 21 centimeters, which is about 8.25 inches. Now, the width of the sleeve, just the top, it's measuring about 9.5 centimeters, which is about 3.75 inches. The length, from the top of the neckline to the end here, it's measuring about 31 centimeters, which is about 12.25 inches. And this measurement here right across, it's measuring about 13.5 centimeters, which is about 5.25 inches. Now the chest measurement, just the top, it's measuring about 26 centimeters, which is about 10.25 inches. So based on these measurements, this little sweater here is for baby boys and girls between 6 and 9 months old, but you can easily make it smaller or bigger. Down here in the information box, I'll go ahead and leave some information on how you can make it smaller or bigger, so be sure to check that out. Now, comment below and let me know what you think. Tell me if you want me to make you the matching pants or a little hat. I'll gladly go ahead and do that for you also. Make sure to comment. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.